go.
All right, looks clean.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate it.
I'm blessed with the opportunity.
Right. So you are the girls' head coach for Liberty High School,
Yes.
and you also went to Liberty High School,
Yep, I'm an alumni.
and you were a wrestler there.
Yep.
How many years?
Well, I started through the youth program back around 6th grade. So I was basically a part of Liberty from 6th grade to 12th grade. And now I'm back.
How is that going? Like, how was that transition from being a student to now a coach?
First year, first couple months, kind of like nerve-wracking. I didn't know how to act with the girls or the kids because I still feel like I'm basically a kid. I'm not that much older than them, and I have all this responsibility over them, and I am in charge of coaching them. I'm in charge of taking them out of state for tournaments. I'm in charge of being there emotionally for them when they need. So I'm like, I feel like a mother to them, a coach, a friend, a mentor, which it's fun, and I'm still getting my like feet wet in it. It's still new territory. It's really different from being an athlete. Now I'm trying to coach.
Is this your first year coaching?
Well, now it will be my second year because I started last year was my first year, and I started that in October, and yeah, here we are, a year later, second year coach.
Nice. And now you also coach freestyle for Grindhouse?
Yeah, I coach freestyle and Greco during the off season. I'm not the best at Greco, but I try because I know girls' Greco is coming up. They recently were talking about that. I saw it on a post on social media that they're trying to get it approved right now. So I'm trying to broaden my horizons a little bit.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quick, between freestyle, the difference between freestyle and Greco.
Okay, basically, freestyle, you're allowed to touch the legs, you're allowed to take shots, and for Greco, it's more, you're all upper body, you cannot touch the legs whatsoever. It's more power, it's more, you have to throw, it's just a whole different, like, they're similar with their moves, but you're doing your throws, right? You're doing your lat drops, your jab wizards, your no arm fireman's carry. It's like a whole different ball game. It looks so cool if you get to see it.
Now, a lot of your girls also train jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, they do.
So how important is like the jiu-jitsu game now within wrestling?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's that important in wrestling because they're not doing their jiu-jitsu throws. They're not doing any of that. They just want to take shots. They want to do exactly what we're showing them, which I'm glad they want to learn and like be more a part of the wrestling world when they are in a match instead of trying to do big throws. And I don't know much about jiu-jitsu, but I know it's not the same. I know you go to your back and try to submit and do different things, but they're pinning machines, so luckily we don't have to deal with very much with their jiu-jitsu background.
I do notice some of your girls utilizing jiu-jitsu, especially at state. Taylor, definitely.
Taylor, for sure.
Yeah, she utilizes jiu-jitsu against Brea.
Yeah.
Which was...
Yeah, I saw that.
Those were the two best matches of the entire season, was girls sectionals and then state.
That was crazy. It gave me goosebumps. I was like...
So just so everybody knows, Brea Garcia is a 3-time state champion. Taylor is one of Liberty's, probably one of your best wrestlers out there.
Yep.
So Taylor beats Brea at girls sectionals by 1 point.
By one.
Then they face each other again at state, and Brea beats Taylor by 1 point.
Yep. It's back and forth all season.
If you think they did that 10 more times, you think it still ends up that way?
Yeah, I think it's going to be close every time because wrestling, it's honestly, it's a mental game. They're like, oh, she's beat me before.
Yeah, it's human chess.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what can I do this time to be her? It's like you have to want to win to win. If you already are saying, oh, she beat me before, I'm going to lose, there's no point, then you're going to lose. Like, you have to have that fire within you. You have to have that, got to have that dog in you.
Right, because it's one-on-one. There's no one else to rely on. There's no one else to blame. There's no one else to, help you out.
It's all you.
So that being said, how does this year stack up like versus last? Well, actually, all of your girls are coming back. None of them are
Yep.
seniors, right?
We get the whole lineup plus a couple new girls, incoming freshmen this year. So we're going to have more of a full lineup this year, except our heavier weights like 170 and up. But other than that, we're almost a full team this year. So I'm super excited.
So you guys are also the best girls team in the state. You're 2-time team state champions. Will most likely be 3.
Well, no, last year we were runner-up, and then, so 2 years ago, before I was coaching, we were runner-up, and then this year we were state champs.
Okay, I thought you were state champs 2 years in a row.
No.
Okay, so just this is the first year.
Yes.
But I think you guys are one of the biggest female teams in this.
I think Castile as
Yeah,
well.
they do have a big
They
team.
have a big team. It's just more of who has the technique and actually is good.
So Bella, she has the opportunity to go 3-time state champion this year.
I know she can do it.
Taylor, I think Taylor will probably
Yep.
be state champion. Claire, I think Claire. So she is my favorite.
I love
Claire.
Claire.
Avery is amazing.
She's
like
a character.
Yeah, she's awesome. I can't wait to have her on here. So she'll probably be. You'll have multiple state champions next year, or this year, I should say.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. It's what they're doing in the off season. Like, not everyone was putting in the work. Kind of, they're growing up, so they're getting their first jobs. They're trying to pay their car insurance, their gas, and they're trying to be kids still. They don't want to always train, which for me it was a completely different lifestyle. I was constantly grinding, no matter if it was off season or not. Like, I had 2 practices a day. I had lifts. I would be cutting weight. I'd be traveling all over the place because I didn't have the same opportunity as these girls. Like, oh, we get a girls tournament right here at home. Like, no, I had to go to Texas. I had to go to Fargo. I had to go to Oklahoma, and I'd have to go everywhere just to wrestle a girl. So.
Did you have to start wrestling boys?
Oh yeah, I wrestled boys my whole career, really, until I got to college. Then it was all female.
Now, I can't imagine that's ideal,
No, it wasn't.
but that's why you are so good, and that's why you are where you are, is because you had to start that way.
Oh yeah, it makes you way more tough, that I've noticed.
So when did that all change?
So my senior year, they finally approved it for the board after they saw me and one other girl named Stefana Jelasic. We were both world team members at the same year, 2016, and we just had many All-American titles, and we were just doing our thing, representing Arizona. And they're like, "Oh, girls can wrestle. Oh, they are good. Maybe we should finally take this seriously and approve it." So I didn't get to be a part of the high school girls wrestling per se, but I was a pioneer and I made it happen. So I'm excited for everyone, for the future eras coming after me, that they have this opportunity and they can actually wrestle in college without having to email all these coaches and find all these coaches everywhere and try to say, "Hey, I'm Brooke Logan, would I have these accolades, can you recruit me?" Now they just have offers getting thrown at them left and right. I'm like, must be nice. I was like, I did not have that.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think you and Ashley Eichner, she's the head coach was the head coach of Barry Goldwater. I think it's because of women like you that there are Claire Averys and Trinities and Alana, these high level girls. It's only because they have coaches, women coaches like you. Because I don't think a man has perspective in body control for a woman, because there's different centers of gravity, the weight's different, and it's held in different places.
Exactly.
So it's super important to have high level wrestlers like you, Ashley, to actually come back and teach, and that's why there's a whole new generation of these high level girls, and that's one of the reasons I started all of this. So I was shooting Barry Goldwater season, right? And their first tournament the first tournament I shot with them was in Page. So we're up in Page, and Brea and Amethyst Bake, she's amazing. She's my favorite on that team. I love her. Straight killer. But so they destroy. I mean, they utterly destroy this entire tournament.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. No one even came close. When it came time for them to get their awards ceremony was in between the boys' championship matches. And to me, and this is just my perspective, it felt like, okay, hurry up and get your award so we can get back to the boys. And at that point, I thought maybe that was just that tournament, and that kind of upset me because, like, I know from that perspective, when you do something great, like, you just want somebody to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
You know, and
you want some validation.
so I know how that feels,
Yeah.
especially how hard they work, right? And then that kind of continued to happen throughout the tournaments,
Yeah.
throughout the season, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then Brea, she gets 3-time champ. She is one of the best Arizona athletes to ever exist, right? She did this all with a 4.92, grade point average.
Wow.
She's an amazing person, and it felt like nobody cared, and no one was doing, like, she did this amazing thing.
Yeah.
So basically that's why I started this, because I felt like all these girls are super high level, and they're so amazing, but it feels like nobody cares. In a world where, like, everything's supposed to be more equal.
I feel like the older style coaches who didn't want girls wrestling and kind of pushed their girls to the side of the room and want them to figure it out on their own by watching the boys and not really helping them. That's kind of like the generation of coaches you're talking about. But the younger coaches, they want to help. They want to build this community of girls wrestling. Like, we want to progress. But there's those few that will hold us back. So I'm trying my best to, spread my knowledge, spread, what I have done to other coaches so girls can wrestle. We should be progressing here. We should be showing technique. We should be more focused on the girls, I feel like, because girls, they actually listen. They actually pick things up, like, quick. When I'm coaching a boy, they're like, huh? Can you show that again? Girls just, oh, okay, got it, coach. I'm like, oh, all right, perfect. I don't have to show you again then. Like, they're so willing and determined to learn, and just, like, they get it done. So I don't know what's going on in some of those older coaches' heads. Like, just help the girls out. That's why my mom, she's a principal at Shadow Ridge, an assistant principal. She wants me to take over the Shadow Ridge women's wrestling program because they don't have a women in power over there with, like, my knowledge. They have a softball coach, but she also does, like, weight training. And she does her best, but, you want someone who actually knows the sport and knows what they're talking about. So maybe I'll do that eventually, but I'm still learning and trying to see who I am as a coach, because it's a different ball game for sure from just being an athlete. Because I can share my knowledge all day, but it's like I'm still trying to find my voice because I'm a quiet coach. I kind of just sit back and watch.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference between style you and Ashley. There's a big difference in style between your girls and Barry Goldwater.
Oh, yeah.
I notice in not only, like, the way that the teams function or the way the teams work, but how, like, the personalities are.
Yeah.
When, because Barry Goldwater, the girls all have kind of, like, similar personalities. Same thing with Liberty.
Yeah.
But the two groups are completely different.
Yeah, polar opposite.
On how I interacted. And also, big shout out to Shadow Ridge. Shooting there for girls sectionals, I was never treated so good by a school, running around, being able to do what I want. So that was great. So big shout out to them. But yeah, so there is a huge difference between girl wrestlers. And I know not just, like, skill level, but just in aggression. I thought it was really great. Like, a lot of the girls pre-match are talking to each other.
Oh, yeah. They don't goof around.
Yeah. And they're about to wrestle each other.
Yeah.
And you don't see that in the boys. Like,
no.
The girls keep the aggression on the mat, like, almost strictly.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as it's done, it's back there almost completely normal. Like, Claire's one of the best examples of that.
Her and Lola always will be making friends right before they have to go wrestle that person. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
I love that.
I've never seen that, because I grew up wrestling with the boys. I grew up with that mentality of, oh, they're not my friend. I'm gonna beat the out of them,
No, yeah, absolutely.
So it's different seeing how these girls treat it. I mean, they take it serious, but they also have fun with it. I guess I stopped having fun with it, and I treated it like a job because it's been my life. It's been my whole world. So, but I'm like slowly learning. Like,
Why do you think you did that?
well, once I made the world team, like I stopped doing all other sports. I strictly like just focused on wrestling because I was like, oh, I am good. I made it this far. Like I'm on the world team. I get to travel the world now. I get to meet new friends and compete in different countries. So I was like, oh, my fun's over. Like I need to just go, go, go because I had big goals of, oh, I wanted to be wrestling in college, which I did. I got multiple offers, about 8 offers from different schools all over the country, and then even one in Canada, Simon Fraser. And then what else? I wanted to be an Olympian. But, you know, things change. Life happens. But it's all right. I'm still trying to get back to where I want to be.
So you still want to compete?
Yeah, that's why I'm getting ready for the U.S. Open in April. That will be my first debut. I coached there in April, and I was like, dang, I can beat some of these girls. Like, I know I can. Like, from the bottom of my heart, like, I have that grit, the determination, the fire. Like, I have it. I just need to go out there. So as soon as I got back, I was like, I'm giving myself 1 year to train hard, to go on my runs, to go lift again, to train every day. So that's what I've been doing now since then.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you go about getting back into, tournament shape?
It's hard, let me tell you, especially with a kid who wants to eat all the time, McDonald's and all the snacks in the world. It's hard. But now he's coming with me. He comes to my practices with me. He comes to lift with me. He watches me work out, and he thinks I'm like Superwoman. That's like my whole motivation right there. Like I will do everything just to show him like this is what hard work looks like. I'm going to get what I want, and you're going to be by my side, and he's going to watch me do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you notice any changes pre having a kid and then after having a kid? Was that a tough adjustment? Like what's that like?
I mean, honestly, I was 19, turning 20. I kind of hated wrestling at that point in my life, and that's why I decided to have him, because I was like, I wanted to be out. I didn't like my coach at my university. There was just problems on the team, so I was kind of like burnt out at that point. The training all the time, running from practice to class as fast as I could, back to getting another workout in, back to doing homework at the library. Oh, gotta go cut weight. I was like, I can't do this anymore. But after having Leo and after I went through some stuff, I was like, I need to find myself again. And I only knew myself through wrestling and through school. Like, through school and wrestling, like, that's been my whole life forever. So I was like, I can't change that. Like, I need to go back. And now I'm back. And then after coaching this first year and just seeing how much they loved it, it, like, kind of brought the joy back into me. I was like, oh, wow, I do love this sport. I do love helping these girls, and I do love, like, training and competing. I just needed, like, an eye-opener, which was Leo, and which was coaching those girls. Those their bright, shiny, happy eyes, and I'm like, oh, wow. I used to be like that, too, and now I'm back to it, and I'm super excited to see what comes from it. I'm hoping I can wrestle in college again. It's just...
So how do you keep it from feeling like a job again?
Well, it's my escape now from Leo. So I don't treat it like a job anymore. I'm with him all day, every day, so that 2 hours I get to just train by myself. It's like a relief. I feel on top of the world. I feel happy. So I don't feel like it's a job anymore. I'm doing it for me now.
Where do you want to take this at this point now?
Well, I still have 3 years left of eligibility of wrestling in college, so if I can get those 3 years and do that and get my degree, I'll be happy because I know I don't want to be left wondering, like, what if I did stay in college and wrestle? What if? You know, I don't want to think like that, and I definitely don't want to, like, live through my son. I don't want to be like, oh, I couldn't do it because of you. Like, no, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it for myself and for him to show no matter what is in your way, like, you can still get what you want.
Does MMA interest you after college?
Yes, it does. I've actually been talking about this with my best friend. we're talking about starting Muay Thai. Since we have really good grappling, like a very extensive background in wrestling, most women in MMA don't. So we would be like killers, I feel like.
That's exactly what I've been telling all of these girls coming up, is that there's not a lot of elite high level wrestlers in MMA right now, and they're the generation who are going to come up and change the entire sport, just like it did with men's when like Daniel Cormier and all those Olympic wrestlers started coming up.
I know, for real.
It started changing that whole scene. You know, and now you have to be good at a ground game. Like that's what Claire's going to do to people. You know what I mean? That's what all of these girls coming up are going to be. And I think it's super exciting to see. And that's why I love just encouraging this. Like no matter where they want to go with an MMA, whether it's UFC or jiu-jitsu or no-gi jiu-jitsu, or there's so many different combat sports where they can go at a pro level. And nearly all of them can. And I think that's what's amazing to watch. And like that's why I want to bring this out to everybody. So I think it's so impressive when you get to know the girls. Like when you realize, like, excuse me, sorry, you expect most of these girls to be like super alphas, right? To walk around like ultra confident, and like none of them are like that. Very few of them are actually like that. These are like the nicest girls. I mean, in normal situations, you put them on the mat and it's completely different. But outside of wrestling, outside of the combat sports, it's like these are the coolest, nicest, chill girls ever, and then they're just amazing when it comes to aggression in combat sports.
It's like once you step onto that mat, it's just different territory. Like people used to be scared of me when I was in high school because girls wrestling wasn't common. So I can't talk to her. She's probably mean. If I say something wrong, what if she hurts me? Like, and then they finally would talk to me and like, oh, you're really nice, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything.
See, it's really funny that you say that because, so when I went to approach, like, say, Claire or Bella, like, I still had that, as a grown man, okay, I still had, like, can I just go up and talk to her? Like, you know what I mean? Just of who they are and how they look from the outside, like, I still had that as, I'm like, I'm a grown man, just go talk to her, you know? And then you go talk to them, and they're just, like, the nicest people in the world, and it's all cool. So, but that, totally, no, I get that. I look at almost all the girls like that.
Because we all have that serious phase when we're just doing our thing at the wrestling tournament. We're like, oh, I probably shouldn't approach them right now. But then you do, and you have some laughs, you get to know them, and everything's good. I realized that, though. I have.
That's good. So.
What?
I just blanked on that last question I was going to ask you. Okay, let's talk about Fargo.
Okay.
Because that was a big deal.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
So okay, for what is Fargo?
Fargo is like one of the biggest national tournaments in the country. Like everyone wants to be there. You're wrestling people from all 50 states. Like you're grinding against other people. So basically, it's a freestyle and Greco tournament for the boys. For girls, it's just strictly freestyle right now. And you have some huge brackets. Like for the boys, some were 128-man bracket. What are you gonna do? You're wrestling all day, like at least 8 matches.
Yeah. How many? What are we talking? How many times are they wrestling per day?
I think the max is like 8. Because that takes a lot out of your body.
That's a lot, yeah.
And then if you lose, imagine not only do you have to wrestle all the way back after you lose one match. And the people who do that, they blow my mind. That is like amazing grit and determination. Because like if I lose and I have to wrestle like 16 matches just to place, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, I want to be done. And some people, they do. You see, it's just all a mental game out there. So it was some good wrestling. I was like mind blown by some of these kids who were out there wrestling, just doing their thing, and I was like, I'm gonna have to learn some of that. That's good.
So how many kids you brought boys and girls? How many kids did you bring to that tournament?
Well, for Liberty or in general for Arizona?
For Arizona, that you were responsible for.
Well, for the girls, I know we brought about 30 girls.
What was the youngest?
So youngest would be cadet, like around 14.
So freshmen, all the way through. Okay. So these are you're taking a bunch of teenagers out of state to Fargo to go wrestle, probably the most wrestling they've ever done in a tournament.
Yep.
Like, how is that whole process?
It's definitely different because some states are further progressed along with women's wrestling. So you got some really good girls from Texas, California, Iowa, Pennsylvania, the big wrestling states. So having some of our girls face these girls who've been wrestling for years and years and just doing their thing, and we had some heartbreaks, like, for sure. And like every time one of our girls would lose, I'd feel for them. Because it is so new in Arizona still, so it's like,
I mean, losing is tough, especially like big tournaments.
Especially,
like that,
when you can All-American and make a name for yourself in your state and be put on the map by colleges. It's like, it's a pretty big deal, and it does start when you first go to that tournament. Like, that's an end-all, be-all for most kids. Like, once you place there, you're getting offers. You're immediately getting offers from colleges.
So at Fargo, just placing gets you on a recruitment list?
Oh, yeah, or making it far enough, like, to your blood round. Because that shows, like, hey, you lost, but you try to fight all the way back. Like, you'll be noticed. That's for sure.
So for women, like, college has become a much bigger option.
Oh, yeah. It's grown so much from when I graduated in 2018. I probably only had about 40-ish schools to choose from. And now I'm pretty sure there's probably like 100 or more, which is like mind-blowing because girls are just getting money. I'm like, I had to work my butt off just to get some money. Now you place at state maybe like one time in Arizona and you're getting almost a full ride. And I was like, that's crazy to me. That's mind-blowing. Like, I can't believe how much it's progressed and how much funding it's getting. Like, even if you are a newer wrestler, like, you are definitely getting a scholarship these days because they're trying to expand it and grow it so much. Like, it's an easy dub for someone if you want to like get a degree and get a scholarship. Like, go wrestle, go try it out.
That's awesome. No, like, because I know the D1 schools are just barely.
Oh, yeah.
Just this year are now just getting some female wrestling
Iowa,
teams.
Yeah.
Ottawa, I think they're D1. Yeah, Ottawa has a female team because I think they recruited Amethyst.
I thought Ottawa was more of a club team for the girls because my friend went there for a little bit, and it was just they would wrestle folk style. And then
really?
They would go to WCWAs as like a club and bring some people, but I'm not exactly sure.
I think they're NAIA now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like, what is there after college? For
that just depends on what you want to do and what your goals are with wrestling. If it was just like for fun and you had a goal of wrestling in college and that's it, then okay. Or if you want to take it to the next level and do some MMA, like you said, that's always a good option. And another option is, being on a world team, being a world team member, making that Olympic team. If you want to go that far with it and represent USA. Other than that, I don't think there's many options after that, or just being a coach when you're done.
What sport do you think is harder than wrestling?
I don't think there is.
There's very few, if there any.
I mean, I think all martial arts are complicated, but the way wrestlers are, like, look at the way we train every day. Look at how we cut weight. Look at right after we weigh in, we're off to wrestling after trying to starve and dehydrate ourselves. And then we're back to it like nothing. Like, it's one of the most mentally tough sports, I feel like. And not everyone is built for it, that's for sure.
It's the physical demands of wrestling, I think, are far beyond just about any other sport out there. Because I know, talking to other coaches, like Alana Rogers is a star softball player. I got to talk to her softball coach about her wrestling and how he didn't want her to do it because he was afraid that she wouldn't have anything left for softball. So, like, coaches are like, no, please don't be a wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, for our sport, because it takes so, it's such a commitment. It's so demanding. It's 6 days a week, twice a day. You guys are just, it's ridiculous. But when it pays off, it pays off.
It really does.
You have people like Brea and Bella and that are just these next level monsters.
Yeah.
So I love it. And like you're a huge part of that, and I think it's great that you that you want to go back and compete.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to see that. Like, I was really happy when I got to talk to Ashley, because when she was kind of in the same boat. She still had a year of eligibility left from COVID, and she wanted to go back, and so that's what she did. Except now she switched over, and now it's MMA, and she's out in Michigan getting punched in the face.
I was wondering what was going on. I know she was on a journey.
Yeah, she did a month road trip, and then so she wound up back in Michigan, and then so she's training out there. She'll actually be back here next month, so I'll get to have her on and we'll get to talk about everything.
That's awesome.
Because she's having. I'm really proud of her. She's having a real good time, like, converting over into combat.
Yeah, it's different. Like, you think wrestling's aggressive, and then you start getting punched in the face. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. It's different when you get put on your back and then punched in the face.
Yeah,
like
you're like, can we just pick one? Yeah, that's definitely a transition, and I'm hoping I can get into that eventually once I'm done with my wrestling, but I don't know when that'll be. Maybe like another 3-4 years. But I know, like, a lot of the women on the elite circuit actually, like, Vicky Vortex, her name is on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I know her.
She's doing her transition, and I think that's awesome because you see all these amazing female wrestlers, and what do they do when they're done? They're kind of, I don't know, because they've been in there forever.
Right? There's finally some legit professional combat sports, like, to go to. So I have gotten a slight bit of pushback about encouraging young women to fight. How do you feel? Like, obviously you don't feel the same way.
No, it's...
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that there's still pushback on encouraging young girls to fight?
Because that's not ladylike, is it? I'm not sure. It's like, I don't think men want to see women do that, or they don't find it, like, ladylike or respectful, or I don't know what goes through men's minds, so I'm not exactly sure.
I do. I find it even more entertaining. Like, women's UFC, I find it's more
entertaining.
entertaining.
After it way more. They're actually striking, while as men, they're just bouncing around the ring, and I'm like, do something. Like, what are you doing? Just circling like that.
It feels like they're faster. It feels like there's more aggression. Like, when go back and look on camera, it just, everything feels faster or stronger, or just, and it's more entertaining.
It really
But
is.
I also think that's a big part because I know these girls. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to bring out. So I want to let everybody know, because that's what makes it so interesting. I think. It's like, once you know their backstories and who they are, and then, like, you see what they're doing, that's what makes it so impressive, at least, like, to me.
It is eye-opening.
But just, it looks faster. They may not actually be faster than the boys. It just looks faster. Yeah. Everything looks faster and more aggressive. I think it's maybe because they're smaller, or I don't know.
Girls got some fire in them. That's all I know.
Yeah.
They got that fire.
And I feel like the girls can turn it on and off a lot, I don't know, more efficiently than the boys can in
Well,
some cases.
Yeah, we're in more in touch with our emotions, while guys, it's anger
Yeah.
or just quietness.
That's what I noticed about a lot of them is there's just there's a pre-match, and then there's a switch,
Oh yeah.
and then right after, almost nearly instantaneously,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
just back. They just bring it back down, and they're fine. Like, do you think it's just an emotional,
Yeah, I think.
like maturity kind of thing?
Yeah, you know how women do progress a little faster than boys.
No, a lot.
Well, yeah.
Men
they
are
do.
idiots.
They are, especially they don't mature for a long time.
I mean, nearly 30
Yeah.
for me at least.
Yeah, I know. I'm like almost 23, so I know boys, men,
Yeah.
not always super mature. Even my coaches, they be goofballs and they're like in their 50s. So, but it's fine. But yeah, for girls, it's we're taught to, we have to act a certain way certain times. That's why we're like we can like turn it on and off. As a guy, you're not allowed to have emotions. You can't cry. You can't show nothing. You just got to be tough. Like,
Yeah.
That's how I feel, like kind of like a toxic masculinity sort of deal, at least with most of the generation, especially these days. But I don't know. It's a hard topic to, like, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, but I have noticed it.
Yeah, there's a lot, I think, just major differences. And I don't think why people want to say that there's not, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not ideal for girls to wrestle boys at all.
No, it's not. It's not. And that's what I did for so long.
Yeah, and especially like you and Ashley, you both like that is there are major differences, and it's just you can't overcome that.
Yeah, like when I was wrestling the boys, like, what was I doing before my matches? I was trying to get myself ready. I'm slapping myself in my face. They're like, who is this chick? Like, I was like trying to get like battle ready, because I know, like, obviously my strength is different than a high school boy kind of going through puberty, probably buff. They would walk around like shoulders all out and big, huffing and puffing. I'm like, oh god, I gotta wrestle that guy? Really? How much did he cut down? And I was just little. I wasn't fragile or frail or anything by any means, but it's just, if you look at me when I was in high school and then the boys I would wrestle, you're like, what the heck, is that even fair? Which it was. We're the same weight class, but come on. It's hard. My strength was in my legs, so boys never, ever, ever, ever shot at me. Like, most of my matches when I was wrestling boys, it was me shooting.
Okay.
And it was me trying to hand fight, and all they would do was try to throw me, hurt me, like, get after me. And when they couldn't do that because I was just as tough as them, they'd get so frustrated. And like, I remember for one of my senior nights, I had that mask on. When you hurt your eye or your nose or whatever, I had that mask on, so I couldn't see. I couldn't see anything. And I had the day before I was wrestling, I was cutting weight with my partner, and his knee went right into my eye, so it was just bleeding everywhere. I was like, oh, great. They're like, let's super glue it. I was like, no, take me to the doctor right now. Because obviously, like, at that point in time, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a nurse. Like, I want to be, I knew better than just super glue it. But yeah, anyway, back to the story. I was wearing that mask, couldn't see anything, and they kept putting their head, like, right on the mask, so I couldn't see anything. I was like, are you serious? So I was, bah, bah, bah. I was like trying to be a hammer, and it wasn't even that the person was really good. It was just they were strong, and obviously in a mask like that, it looks like a scary mask, like a Scream. That's what it reminds me of.
So tell people what you're talking about, because what you're at, it's a face protector.
Oh yeah, so like when you get hurt on, like, around your eye, if you have like a super bad black eye or a bruising or a broken nose, like, this mask, you need to wear it to protect so you don't break anything else on your face or make it worse. So it's just a little mask with eye holes, a mouth hole, and it looks so hilarious, I'll tell you. But yeah, it was a struggle wrestling in that thing, and I'm glad I only had to wear it one time.
Okay, so what's next? What's the next step for Brooklyn?
Next step, I am starting college next week. This will be my second year back after my year off. So I have a
What college?
I'm just Glendale Community right now. Just getting my prereqs done. So when I am ready for that change, or if I get an offer somewhere, I'm just ready to go to nursing school and start my journey. So I just have a CNA class left, but I'm also taking like a medical Spanish course because I'm also minoring in Spanish. So I'm doing that, coaching, training, mom stuff, the life, everything.
So you are returning to Liberty?
Yeah, this year I just submitted my applications and all my paperwork, and it's official, and I'm ready to coach when the season starts around, October for our preseason. And we'll see how we do this year. I'm super excited.
Awesome. So am I. So I'll definitely be there shooting you guys again. So
All right.
I really appreciate you being here and being my first guest on this show. So
Yeah, it's been a privilege.
look,
It's
I
fun.
hope it came out all right. So we'll
Me
see.
too. It's
But
been
yeah,
fun.
no, thank you, and we'll talk again. I'm gonna have a couple of your girls, and then when the season starts, we'll do this again, and we'll talk about everything one more time. So
All right.
awesome, thank you.
Yeah, of course.